Greetings, everyone, and thank you all for tuning in. And welcome to another edition of Female Barber Talk with Yah-Tay. I am Yah-Tay Keaton, also known as Yah-Tay the Barber Stylist, and I am here with our 12th episode. Y'all work with me while I am getting up all of my items for tonight's podcast. This is episode 12. It is entitled The Art of Consultations, Listening Before the Clippers or the Comb or the Shears, whatever your tool of choice is. But since this is Female Barber Talk with Yah-Tay, of course, it's going to be clippers. If you're tuning in, catching this on the replay, thank you for taking time out of your day to watch replay this broadcast. You have tuned in to episode number 12. We are 12 strong. And if you don't know, I do have special guests. I do bring topics like tonight's topic. And of course, we have some pre-recorded that actually broadcast live. I just started the podcast back in January. It's something that I've been sitting on for quite some time, and Spirit was nudging me to get going. So here we are in the 12th episode of Female Barber Talk with Yah-Tay. So welcome. This is a very, very important topic. Pardon me, y'all. I have really bad allergies, and my eyes are constantly watering due to the pollen. It's a lot heavier than it has been in times past, but we're here. What was I saying? Yeah, hold on. I thank y'all for your patience. This is a what can I say about it? It's a challenge. It's fun. It's nerve-wracking at times. Working to continuously build the guest list. Last week we had not only a special guest, one of my clients talked about his haircut mishap, and we actually learned a lot of things from that. I know I did. If you haven't watched the episode, catch episode number 11. It's called New Beginnings, Learning from a Haircut Mishap. And we also had a surprise guest, which was Kamati's mother, Dr. Robinson. But nonetheless, let's jump into this topic. We're talking about the art of the consultation, listening before the clippers. Listening is very important because you can gather a lot of information. Not only listening, you have to do active listening and also ask questions. So I'm going to talk about 5 different pointers as it relates to this topic. I'm going to share some information with you all as well throughout this topic tonight. Hopefully it's very helpful. If it is, do share it with someone. So before you turn on the trimmers, you touch the temple, you touch your temple with the trimmers, you do a single part for braiding, any of that. A great service starts with communication. So when you get a new client, what do? You just jump in and start turning on the clippers and preparing for the style. No, we don't do that. This is the one thing that every great service has in common, and that's a real consultation, a thorough consultation. And sometimes you even continue that consultation throughout the process. I know that I stay in communication with my clients, especially if it's a first-time client, more specifically when I'm dealing with children, because some may be tender-headed, sensitive scalp, tender-headed, whatever you want to call it. I want to stay in communication with them because I want them to let me know if something feels uncomfortable, they have any questions. I want them to feel open and comfortable with sharing whatever their thoughts are or whatever it is that they're feeling at the moment. But today I plan to walk you through how mastering the consultation process can completely transform the way you work with your clients. And like I said, it's very important. Doesn't matter if you're doing locks, doing braids, doing twists, doing fades. It don't matter what you're doing. You need a good consultation. So let's jump right on into it. So the first one that I have here is, let me pull it up. So I have 5 points, as I mentioned before, 5 points. You want to, number one, your space always want to be welcoming. And having a welcoming space, it helps to build trust, and we build trust through communication. And in communication, you want to be actively listening to the clients. And how I ensure that not only am I listening and that I'm actively listening to my client, whatever it is that they're communicating to me, I take it and I rephrase it in my own words and communicate it back to them. If I'm able to do that and they say, yes, that's what I mean, that's the point I was trying to get across, then by me doing that, lets me know and lets them know that I am listening. And the reason why I say take it and put it in my own words, because what I'm doing then is interpreting it and sharing it back with them to see if I actually heard what I think they said to me. So, with that, building trust through communication, talk with your client, not at your client. You want to talk to them or talk with them. This is where trust starts. Trust begins with communication. So when someone sits in your chair, especially for the first time, guess what? They want to be heard. That's why they're there. Obviously, something, either they're looking for a new stylist or new barber, they're new in town, somebody recommended them, or in my case, they passed by and saw us and decided to stop in and get a service, have a service done. So I start with the question for me, what's your regular routine? Or have you worn that particular style before? So for someone that's coming to me for a new braid style or a new natural hairstyle, I always ask about that, because then I want to know um, what was good about the last style. If you could fix anything, what would that be? I tell y'all this. So I had someone reach out to me in reference to micro locks. And because I did not start the micro locks, there were a lot of questions that I needed to ask in order to get not only the history of when that person started them, how long they've started them, when was the last time they had their retight done. I also wanted to know about the process. Do they use a 2-point method or a 4-point method? And some other things along those lines. So before I actually engage, set up for the service or even recommended a price for them, I needed to know certain things. And me sending that information to them, I let them know, hey, I know it's a lot of questions, but this is going to help me understand not only your history, but your hair care needs and your hair care routine in terms of care and maintenance. Not only what the loctician has done, but what that individual has done at home. So consultations, asking what their hair care routine are, how have they worn that style before. Those are just a few things that should be asked when it comes down to building trust through communication. Another thing is you want to ask about their scalp sensitivity and product preferences. And I say the scalp sensitivity, a tender-headedness, I mentioned that previously. You want to know, because if, in my case, I'll just use the children for example, it can cause a traumatic experience for a child if they're getting their hair done and it's uncomfortable, especially if the a child is autistic or has sensory challenges. Here's another example. So I did a private consultation just this past week. The young child was 3. Mom wanted to get the child's hair done. However, in seeing the child and the mother, I noticed that the child's hair had not been combed in quite some time. And often that is a challenge for parents with children who have sensory challenges. I don't like to say issues, but sensory challenges or sensory concerns because of their, I want to say special ability, because those children, to me, always have something that they excel in. So with this child, his hair hadn't been taken down. And what I did during the consultation, I assisted the mom with it to show her some various techniques that can be used to support her in taking the hair down. So one thing that I showed her was when I took one of the box braids or plaits, depending on what school you're from, and I held it while I started to unravel it. And sometimes I use a comb, sometimes I can use my fingers and pry the pry the braid or plait loose that way. So I did that. And as I was going up the braid, I was putting tension just ahead of me taking it down. So if this is the plait and I was taking it a loose here, I would apply a little tension here so that he couldn't feel it, towards the root or the base of his hair. And it's about taking time. He needed a break. Of course, you have to take that time to do that. So those are just some examples. Sorry, y'all. Some examples of scalp sensitivity. And I also asked about products. Some clients that come to me like to use their own products. As a barber stylist, I don't mind. I don't mind. Some stylists and or barbers may, not like that because they can't, I won't say can't. They like to use their own products. They prefer to use their own products because they already know what the end result is going to be, how things are going to work out. But if the client has been utilizing that product, they love the product, I don't have a problem using the product on them if they bring it to me. I actually have a couple clients that do that. So it's no problem for me. So product preferences, you ask about scalp sensitivity. The next thing is understanding lifestyle and maintenance habits. This is a big one. Understanding lifestyle and maintenance habits. Hold on, y'all. I want to grab this here. So in wanting to understand their lifestyle and maintenance habits, this part is often overlooked. And if we get focused on how the hair looks versus how the client lives, then we miss a whole another other section that's important. Take, for instance, if a client works out, they sweat heavily or perspire for women. They sweat heavily. That's going to impact the maintenance or the longevity of their hairstyle. Example, locks. Oftentimes, individuals who work out heavily or sweat a lot, they may choose to interlock their hair over the traditional palm rolling, and interlocking is becoming um, more individuals want that more for whatever reason. But I still do palm roll. I don't do interlocking and or crocheting at the shop much unless I'm doing a repair, because it takes a considerable amount of time. And for me, because like I mentioned to you all before, within our appointments, we have a lot of walk-ins, so we have to manage the walk-ins in addition to servicing our clients. So understanding a client's lifestyle and their maintenance habits is very, very important. So once again, you can't just look at how the hair looks and forget about how the client lives, because those two go hand in hand. So, like I said, if my client works out regularly, I won't suggest something that's high maintenance or it needs a continuing retouching, a constant retouching. I won't do that because it defeats the purpose. So you want to suggest something that would lend to their activity. Example, knotless braids or a certain retwist style or a two-strand twist for that matter. That may be something that'll work for the client as well. Let's see here. We got anybody in the comments? Hey, LaDosha, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you joining. And thank you all for watching on the replay. If you're taking time out of your day to watch this on the replay, you have tuned in to episode 12, and we are talking about the art of the consultation, listening before the clippers, the shears, the comb, the brush, the crochet needle, whatever your tool of choice, listening before that. And we just covered building trust through communication. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. Building trust before communication. So now we're into understanding lifestyle and maintenance habits. And once again, we can't look at the client's look or be so focused on the look that we forget about the lifestyle of the client. So I'm going to flip it over to haircuts really quick. So an example, if you got a college student that just needs a low maintenance haircut or a low maintenance taper or something that's low maintenance, you don't want to recommend something to them or offer them something that's going to require them to be in once a week or every on a regular basis. So you want to find out what the client's lifestyle or what the customer's lifestyle is and tailor that service towards that. That's very, very important. I got a few other things that I want to mention. I got notes here, y'all, and I'm being very intentional about these lifestyle and maintenance habits here. So I shared with you all that example in reference to haircuts. You want to ask, like I mentioned before, if they sweat really heavy, even wear do-rags. I have clients that wear do-rags. And let me say this, y'all. Please, 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 wash your do-rags, wash your pillowcases. Some wear them, some don't. Mine always come off, so I just sleep on the satin pillowcase. And every now and again, I throw on my little bonnet. But for the most part, I often comb through my hair and I twist it up at night or I plait it up at night. Just depends on how I feel. And I sleep on my satin pillowcase. Cotton dries the hair out, and you can actually rub it out. So just be mindful when it comes down to securing your hair, however you decide to do that for bedtime. That here again is a maintenance habit. How do you take care of your hair in preparation for bed? What do you do when you get up? Those types of things. So understanding the lifestyle and maintenance habits of your client and being able to offer them recommendations to assist them or support them in their hair care regimen at home is very important. So that's number 2. All right. Clarifying expectation with visual aids. This to me is so important, especially in the industry that I'm in, barber industry. Okay, some people use taper. Some people use shape up. Some people use line up. Some say fade, skin fade, ball fade. There are a lot of different vocabulary that individuals use. Excellent point. Thank you. Hold on. Let's share this. Ladosha says, excellent point. All of the people don't know. They think natural translate to do nothing, no maintenance hair. Yes. You know what, Ladosha, I'm gonna say this. Even with what one would consider low maintenance, and actually a low haircut isn't low maintenance. Because if I want to keep it nicely shaped up, I got to get in there to see my barber at least every 2 weeks at minimum. Sometimes I go a little longer than that and try to shape myself up, but um it's never low maintenance. I got to keep it up. So as I was saying, with my hair and prepping for bed, I comb through it because I sponge it. And I have a rubber sponge and one of those sponge. It looked like a mitt or a glove. And I use that and I sponge my hair as well. And I always tell my clients, comb through that hair after a day or two, because if you continue to sponge on top of sponge on top of sponge, you're gonna twist it right on off and it's gonna pop. It's gonna pop. All right. But let's get back to this. Clarifying expectations with visual aids. We all know this one. A client's low fade and they come in with a picture. It's mid fade, or skin fade, or a hard part. Having visuals and showing them. Another thing too, everybody's hair texture is not equal. It's not the same. So where you show a picture, or a client may show a picture of one style, it doesn't necessarily translate to their hair texture. We can get it close, and that's way, let's go back to one. Communication comes in. You have to communicate that to them and educate them without overwhelming them. We're going to talk about that too. So, in clarifying expectations and using visual aids, you got your phone now. Have them pull up a picture of what it is that they're looking for. If they've had the cut before or had the style before, pull it up. I got to tell y'all. So today I had, yesterday I did a little girl, very long hair. I think I posted it. If not, I'll post it in my story so you can see it. So I did her hair yesterday. Then I had another little girl, long curly hair, overly curly hair, that came in. Her mom got her brother's haircut, and then she was like, "Well, can you put her hair in about 8 cornrows?" And I was like, "Sure." So I told her, just in conversation, I said, "Yeah, I just did another young lady's hair yesterday whose hair is similar." And I popped open my phone, scrolled, and showed her the picture. Guess what, y'all? She was like, "Oh, we'll do that one." So I end up doing the same style twice in one day. So that was really, really good. But nonetheless, pictures are worth 1,000 words, and they can also clear up and help clarify 1,000 questions, or help you to pinpoint, provide examples, and show differences or similarities in whatever it is, the style of choice or the cut of choice, or whatever it is that they're looking to get. So visual aids. So with visual aids, reference photos, or point to an area in the mirror to clarify. So if they don't have an image, just turn them around to the mirror. This keeps things, LaDosha says this keeps things from getting lost in translation, which is why, LaDosha, I said, I take what they've said, I rephrase it in my own words, and then communicate it back to them so that I am sure that I understand what I heard from them. And if I'm able to communicate it back to them and they say, yes, that's what I said, then that lets them know not only did I understand what they said, but I heard what they said. So listening and hearing. Okay. So once again, reference photos or point to areas in the mirror to clarify. Are you thinking more of this temple fade or drop fade? And that's another thing. Fades, tip fades, drop fades, low fades, high fades. Folks just come in because they've heard something and they'll say what they think. But when you turn around to the mirror or ask them to show a picture, it's like, you say this, but that's not really that. So like LaDosha said, they keep, this keeps it clear. It keeps it from getting lost in translation. She says here, what they think is brown might actually be red. Yeah, that's true. And some clients are colorblind. So you just don't know. The other thing is break down the service step by step. This is something that I always do, especially when I get a new client. It's part of me educating them. It's part of me allowing them to feel comfortable. Yeah, real talk, for real talk. It's part of me wanting them to understand what's going on. And also, if they have any questions during whatever process it is, I can share with them, educate them, or inform them on whatever it is. So step by step, y'all know I'm good with examples. I'm going to give you another example of how I do that. So especially with kids, because with children, I am not only providing a service for them, I'm providing them an experience. I'm also educating them, and I'm also setting a standard or showing them a standard of how they can be serviced or should be serviced. It just depends on how you look at it. So a breakdown service, step by step, especially with braids, twists, and layered styles. So example of how I would break down the service, like the young lady that got her hair done today that wanted the hairstyle like the other young lady. Let me see. It's an excellent way to create retention, retail, and reviews. Okay, LaDosha with the rights, the R's. Thank you for saying that. It is retention, retail, and reviews. So with the young lady that I did, whose hair I did today, she was a new client. Well, she was a new client for me to have her, for her to receive services from me. However, she's been in the barbershop previously with her brothers getting their hair done. So I sat her in the chair first. We looked at the style again. And on the young lady that had the style, the braids were going to the left. So I asked her, do you want the braids going in the same manner, or do you want them going to the right? So she kind of, she got to thanking us, and she did this to the right. I said, okay. So that's opposite of what the picture showed. She wanted her braids going to the right. We did that. Before I got out of the chair, I asked her, if she got out of the chair, I asked her if she had any more questions. She said no. So prior to prepping her to be shampooed, I told her we're going to go over to the shampoo bowl. You'll get 2 shampoos and a condition. Okay. I said, I'm going to run the water through your hair first for a few minutes. And I always say it loosens up any product, dirt, debris, elements, just elements. I don't like to use dirt as much because, that can be one of those words. But I do say it. It's going to loosen up any product, and it build up in the hair, dirt, debris, um, particles, whatever, in the hair. And I allow the water to run. Hey, WK, thank you for joining. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're joining, you have joined episode 12 of Female Barber Talk with Yah-Tay. And tonight we're talking about the art of the consultation, listening before the clippers or shears, a comb, a brush, or whatever your tool of choice is. And we're going over 5 points that I have broke down that I believe is important to a great consultation, or the art of a good consultation. So we're actually on part 3, which is clarifying expectations with visuals. And I am talking about breaking down the service step by step. So my example is taking the client through the actual service. What's happened? What's going to happen? What's going to happen after this step, so that they have a visual of how it's going to go. And even throughout the process, I'm still explaining. For example, when I got the young lady over to the shampoo bowl, I reiterated it. I'm going to turn the water on. It'll be somewhat warm, but it won't be scalding hot, because some of them like, oh, yeah, hot is good. No, hot is not good. You're going to mess up your scalp. But anyway, I let her know that we're going to shampoo. We did the 2 shampoos. I came back with the conditioner in. And because she has long, over curly hair, I took the opportunity to detangle her at the bowl with the conditioner in her hair. And I shared with her, I said, this is also a good opportunity, because I don't know if she conditioned her hair, use a leave-in or what. So I said, this is a good opportunity to ensure that the condition goes from root to end, or end to root, whatever you decide. So I took it, parted it in quarters, and I detangled the hair. And where it was really tangled, I took the sections and I broke it down even more. And I said, this is also going to help us once we get back to the barber chair. Then I can go in, add your leave-in conditioner, and then go in and blow dry your hair. So it's going to make that process a lot easier. And she was happy with that. Thank you all for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. True, hot is not good. It is not good, but I know you're not surprised or wouldn't be surprised, but I get a lot of people come in and say, yeah, I like it hot. Just turn it up a little bit more. No, we're not going to do that. Or another one, scratch my head, no, I don't need to scratch your head. I can use the palms of my finger and still give you a good shampoo. As a matter of fact, that is the proper way to shampoo your hair. Miss Yah-Tay, and so they get to the bowl and I get the massaging that scalp, then I'll hear another peep out of them. but nonetheless, offering the clients a breakdown of service. That's just some things. I won't go through the whole spiel of what I do with that particular service, but you can get an idea of how I break the service down, inform them what's going on, what's coming, and where we are and whatever point of the service, what's taking place. And I also check in, like when I was detangling her hair, I'm watching facial expression, I'm watching body language, especially with children, especially when I have trimmers on their head, or I'm using the clippers with the guard on them, because the guards that I use tend to be somewhat pointed. So if I don't sit it on the head right or angle it properly, I can actually dig into the scalp, and that can be very uncomfortable. So I'm always watching facial expressions and body language, and more specifically, especially of my children. because I want to make their experience comfortable. And I just don't want them to have a traumatic experience with me to the point where they're afraid to come back, or it causes, you know, it just causes them trauma when it comes down to getting their hair done. So that's one thing. And then double check language around length and value. This is so key. Cutting and trimming, a little bit off or a lot off. So I give an example of a cut that I did today with a young man. They have mixed textured hair, so it's really soft. I picked it out. He initially said he wanted a lot off, and I was like, okay, well, let's pick it out first, see where you're at. What I did initially, I picked it out, let him see it. Then I said, we're going to go in and shape it a little bit. So some parts were higher than other, but not by a whole lot. So what I did is went in and shaped it based on the style of cut he had, in addition to his head shape. So we shaped it. I let him look at it. He was like, yes, that's good. I said, okay, before we cut any more off, because I knew that we were going to use a finishing cream, and or you call it finishing cream, curl defining cream on his hair, which draws the hair up, and sponge it. I said, let's do that first. So once I got to the point where I was ready to apply the finishing cream, I did that, sponged them up, and I spent them around again. What do you think about that? He was like, okay. So I took the opportunity to explain to him again. Let's see what the dosha has to say. I'm sorry. Nobody likes hidden surprises regarding cost of service. Excellent point. You are so right. Not only cost of service, but what they're getting, especially when it comes down to haircuts or cutting the hair, period. So because I've had some traumatic experience with that, I think I'm that much more mindful when it comes down to ensuring that I'm double checking, are we on the same page when it comes down to language in terms of the haircut and or the hairstyle. So back to the example. Once I put the finishing cream on, I sponged his hair. I had him look at it again, and he was like, that's good. So with that, sometimes you got to use your professional judgment, and in some cases may not cut it as low, especially if you know the client applies product and likes to wear it a certain way. You want to put that product on, manipulate the hair however you're going to manipulate it. In this case, we were sponging it, and get the style how the client wants it, and then go back and reassess it and see if there needs to be some changes made to it. So that's something that I did. So here again, when clarifying clients' expectations, you want to use visual aids, mirror talk. I do it constantly, even for myself. Break down the service step by step. That provides understanding, that prayerfully communicates, or where you don't have any misunderstanding. And then you double check language, especially when it involves length and value. Okay, you want to make sure that you get that done. We can't say, that's great that you do that. Sometimes people have trauma with how much is cut off. Yes, even if they need it. Sometimes some people has a bond with their hair. Yep, and can't let it go when it comes to trims. So I'm so glad that you expressed that. And like I said, because I've experienced some things, I am that much more mindful and in tune with it. And whenever I'm trimming, especially when I'm using, well, actually both methods, Hey, Lachey, thank you for joining. I greatly appreciate it. Y'all, we got Miss Lachey on, the assistant instructor at YPI, my alma mater, here in Columbia, South Carolina, barber school here. Look, put up y'all website and I'll put it across the screen so people can know where y'all are located. But I was sharing that we came with that. I When I trim hair, I turn them around and let them see. When I'm utilizing clippers, I'll come in a space like if they're gonna temp out or temp in the back, I'll share that with them. Hey, Mr. T, that's my instructor, Mr. T. How you doing? Thank you all. I gotta pay a visit to you all. I know. Yeah, so I usually temp out like right here so that they can see, because oftentimes this area is lighter unless a ball lighter, unless they want to see all of the C cup. I'll come in here so that they can see it. And then if they give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever it is, we go from there. So it's about communication. I also with the shears in terms of cutting, dusting. Some people call it dusting, some call it trim. I say I'll take about a quarter inch off, or eighth if that's my if it comes down to that. An eighth is really not a whole lot, so I normally say about a quarter, and I do something like this, or I show them, like it'll be about this much, or I'll pull it up and show them. You see the hairs where it look a little rough, or I use the example when you're trying to comb through the hair. If you're combing through and you get to the ends and it's really rough, that means it's time to trim it. Which brings me to this, just happened yesterday. I gotta share this because it's talking about, okay, thank you. Let's show this. YPI. There's the website for YPI. If you got any local aspiring barbers or master hair care professionals like myself, a great facility is located in the heart of West Beltline in the shopping plaza there, and you'll get a great education. Thank you. And she says here, I called it the tippy yeah. Oh, tippy ends trim. They pay a lot for the tippy ends cut. Yes. So I had someone come in the shop yesterday, and they were saying that they don't cut their hair. They're natural. They don't cut their hair. So then the individual got on about the Bible and a woman shouldn't cut their hair. I said, ma'am, I don't debate politics and religion when it comes down to my profession. I said, I'm just going to tell you, if you want to promote and create healthy hair growth, ensure that your hair grows healthy, you want to trim your hair. So I was mindful of the word trim over cut. I say you want to trim your hair. And then I laid down the example again of when you're combing through it and it's hard to get through to the ends. That means it's time to trim, or it's time to cut the split ends. I said, and if you ever wear your hair straight, a flat iron or blow dried or out, you can see it. I said some parts may be shorter than the other, but that tells you your hair needs to be trimmed. I said, but it's your choice, it's your hair. You do what you see fit for you. In the end, if you want healthy hair and continuous growth, you got to trim the ends or they're going to continue to split. And she just looked at me. I was like, but it's your choice. It's like, what'd you say? It's like filing toes and toenails. Thank you. You can't let them keep growing or you won't be able to wear your shoes. What'd you say? You sounded more like an instructor. Oh, Mr. T, I'm working on it. I got a couple more months before I'm eligible. The hair, Ladosha says, the hair will split like nails. It does. And in so many words, that's what I was trying to share with the young lady. So let me keep rolling because I don't want to hold y'all up too long. So the next point here, let me go over this here. Ask how often they want to come back with that, and check for hair care habits and product use. I always ask about that, especially where it surrounds nighttime routine and caring for the hair. Um, Consider scalp or hair health. We talked about that. So the next point, and this is, y'all, this is big to me as well. Respecting cultural identity and personal preferences. So I'm not, we have this pronouns and things that, individuals use. We want to be mindful and respectful of that. Excuse me. Hair is culture, hair is identity. So um, when I consult with someone, whew, I come from a place of respect, always, always. And I think a lot of it has to do with I've worked in many different places. I had a lot of jobs, y'all. I done had a lot of jobs. I've been in the military. I've worked for profit. I've worked not for profit. I've worked for the federal government. Not to mention being in the military. But I've worked in a lot of different venues. I've also been a prevention and outreach educator. I worked in the interior design field. So I've been in a mix of different environments. So with that, I always come from a place of respect, yet at the same time, I've gone to school at YPI, got my foundation. So I also share my professional knowledge, like in the instance with the lady who talked about religion and not getting her hair cut. I get the religion part. And yet at the same time, if you want healthy hair, you're going to have to trim them ends. Just bottom line. And look, we can't say respect leads to trust, which helps with building a good rapport and retaining clients. Yes. Can I tell y'all, I had a whole family today. The little girl that I talked to y'all about who's been coming in with her brothers for the longest, she got her hair done. And that's trust. Mom trusts me with the boys. And I had an opportunity to do the little girls' hair today. And honestly, I think I end up doing it today because they're going on spring break. And she wanted it done and not have to worry about it since they were traveling to Florida. But that's another thing that, like we can say, respect leads to trust, building rapport, and retaining clients. And I have a pretty decent retention rate. I do. With that, I want to continue with this. So respecting cultural identity and personal preferences. Let's see here. Working with someone starting locks for spiritual reasons. People start locks for many different reasons, but whatever their reasons are, that's an example of respecting the cultural aspect of that person's choice to start their locks. Let's see here. This is what I also want to say. And in the beginning, I was, I won't say picked on, but I was told that I share too much or I give too much info or I talk too much, almost as if I was talking too much about the cut or too much about whatever service I was offering. And in the beginning, it bothered me. But then I was like, but that's who I am. I'm an educator at heart. I want people to know what's going on. And because of my own personal experience with various aspects of being in the hair industry, and if you got my book, then you've seen one of the things, experiences that I've had with hair loss. So I'm very, very mindful of that. So with that, you want to inform without being overwhelming. And if you're watching the body language and looking at them, you'll be able to tell if it's a little too much information. TMI, too much information. So that is also important. But to get back to respecting the culture, identity, and personal preference. So for clients who are gender non-conforming or transitioning, it's even more important to ask, not assume. And I call them by what they want to be called by. And I'll share this with you. I had an incident. Well, it wasn't me, but I was servicing a client, a gay client, and the conversation in the barbershop made the individual feel uncomfortable. And they shared it with me, and I had to address that because you in the shop, you have to be mindful of your conversations. You really do. But the conversations that was going on amongst the other barbers in the barbershop made my client feel uncomfortable. So I had to address that. And I bring that up because um, it's the way of how the world. So we have to be respectful of everyone, regardless of their personal identity, their personal preference, and the gender that they choose or not choose. It's all about respect. So I always address them how they want to be dressed, but more importantly, I respect them because that is very important. You say what you say, Lachey, it's your passion and it's in your blood. Yeah, it is. It is. And I take what I do, not that others don't. I just take it to heart. And that's because I always say I'm getting a second chance at my first love. So it's like I'm getting a second chance to do this, and I'm not only taking it all in, but giving it all I got. So if that makes sense. So with that, the small gestures create a safe space. And believe me, your clients will remember that. So respecting them, respecting their cultural background or heritage, their identity, and their personal preferences, it goes a long way. And it also helps to, like we can say it, that respect, building rapport and retaining clients. You retain your clients like that. So the last one here I have is documenting clients' history for next visits. I'm going to tell y'all, I'm a little bad about rebooking. You know, I get so into chatting it up and, you know, just enjoying the time with my clients that I don't rebook them. Most of them call me or text me, can I get in? You got an opening? And I take care of it that way. I'm getting better at it. I will say this weekend, I rebooked 2. That's big for me. So in documenting clients' history for next visit, here's where the pros stand out, the follow-up game. And I want to show y'all something that I use, especially when it comes down to new clients or a new service that I might do on I can't even think, a client of mine. So this here is what I use. I send them this here. How's your hair doing? Needs help? Is okay? It's good. I'll send them this. And I actually talk to my clients a lot. I send them thank you for supporting me. Little messages. Thank you for life skills. Right, Mr. T, life skills. Thank you for supporting me. I follow up with them. Conversations that we have, I check in with them. Like I had a client whose brother goes to North Carolina for treatment. She came in to see me Friday. I asked her about that. She in turn asked me about my dad, and I had to tell her, well, we're waiting on the for those of you who don't know, my dad is battling prostate cancer, and he's made a choice that I'm not too fond of, but he is not doing well. But nonetheless, she asked me how was he doing. I said, well, he's going to have an MRI done this week coming up, and they're going to see what it's doing. I'm just going to say that, what it's doing. I'm still hopeful, but it's very taxing, to say the least. But I share that in that I do pay attention. I do check in with my clients. Thank you. I take my relationships with my clients personally, and they might think I get on their nerves sometimes because I'm always checking in with them. But I do keep things professional. I text them. I stay up with them. But this is one of the images that I may send to them. How's your hair doing? And they'll send back a comment or emoji to let me know how it's doing, and things along that line. Another thing is keep notes. I have not been good about utilizing the actual booking site to keep notes, but I do keep notes in my phone about certain things as it relates to my clients in terms of guards used, certain things that they like done. I'll give you an example. I got this one young man that gets his hair cut, and we tried a new style on him. He was getting a high ball fade. Now he's getting a ball. It's a, gosh, I can't even think right now, y'all. He gets a drop fade, but it's bald, and he gets his little two lines. So I'm gonna show y'all this. So his dad sent me this video, right? I think I posted it in my stories. I don't know if y'all will be able to see it. So this is how my clients do me sometimes. And of course, I got another message from a client. Let me take this off so y'all can see this. Hold on. So my client just sent me this. He says, hello, Lachlan's dad. Any chance you are working tomorrow? Someone is overdue. So here's the video, y'all. That's the video that was sent. So the dad sent this video like he's overdue, but that's a haircut. Let me see, y'all. With his two lines. So he sent me that video to say somebody's overdue. Needless to say, he got in. He came in with his dad. I got to tell y'all this too. This shows how loyal children are. So he comes in. I was booked, so his dad couldn't get him in with me, right? I got finished with a client early. I was preparing to do my 2:00 early, but Lil Lachlan was sitting there on his iPad, sitting there with his legs crossed. Now he's supposed to go. His dad booked him with another barber. So Lachlan said, no, Dad, I'm going to Miss Yah-Tay. So my client, who was getting ready to get in the chair, he looked at me, and I looked at him. I said, hey, your appointment isn't until 2:00. Is it okay if I squeeze him in? He was like, yeah, sure. So, yeah, my little guy, he was like, nope, I'm going to Miss Yah-Tay. Y'all, he didn't look up. He didn't look around. He kept looking at his iPad. His dad was talking to him from the barber chair. He was like, nope, I'm going to Miss Yah-Tay. So I asked my client, who was there early, if I can go ahead and get him in, and then I'll still get you in at your appointed time. And I still got my other client out on time. so that he could he could get to work. Let me show this. I'm missing some comments here. Uh yes, rebook. I gotta get better at rebooking. Weekay, I do. I really do. Mr. T, let's see here. Weekay, I'm so glad he came to you. You did a wonderful job on his hair. Thank you. I've been working with Lachlan for it's a little over a year, and he's one of my my special needs kids. So yeah, he's big on Miss Yah-Tay doing his hair. So, but with that, I'm grateful. So the last point is documenting clients' history for next visit. I've already confessed I'm not really good at rebooking. I'm getting better. However, I do keep notes. You can do it old school way or digital. I do digital. Yeah, I do it digital. So for haircuts, um, I don't maximize the square system or the squire system that we use, but I pretty much know, especially if my clients come on a regular basis, unless they're gonna switch it up or do something a little different. I pretty much know what it is that they want and how to go about getting it done. So it makes the next visit smooth, consistent, and personal. That's the key, to have that personal touch with my clients when they come in. Like I said, I'm always checking in. You know, if they've told me something previously, I'm following up, and they even follow up on me as well. I'm pretty transparent with my clients. Yeah. And my little ones don't play. They don't play about getting their hair done. So if you're just tuning in, you've joined episode 12 of our podcast, Female Barber Talk with Yah-Tay. This is the art of the consultation, listening before the clippers or the shears or the comb or the brush or the pick, whatever tool it is that you use. And tonight, I have gone over 5 topics as it relates to the art of the consultation. And I'll just do a quick recap. Building trust through communication is number 1. That's important. Talk with your clients, not at them. You want to talk with them. This is where the trust starts. And as Weekay said earlier, you know, you build that rapport. Your retention, all it snowballs into retaining the client. So good rapport, that trust helps to build that rapport and ultimately that retention. The second one is understanding lifestyle and maintenance habits. So here you want to not just focus on how the hair looks and don't, but how the client lives, or how the client lives. You don't want to forget about how the client lives, because if you're focusing on the style and they got a lifestyle where they're very, very active, then you might not be servicing them properly in terms of giving them a hairstyle that's going to last. Example, I noticed that most parents who come in that want their kids to have bald fades or a high bald fade or something along those lines, they want that haircut to last, especially when they got 2, 3, 4, 5 boys they bringing in for haircuts. All right. So you want to focus on the how and the how they live, how it looks and how they live. That's number 2. Number 3, look, I put it over here. Let me get my notes. Y'all know that. Clarifying expectations with visual aids. This is so important. Active listening. What Stephen Covey says, seek first to understand and then be understood. I took that class when I was in the military. It's a great course. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm still utilizing them. But nonetheless, you want to clarify expectations with visuals. Use visuals, mirror talk, pictures, images. Pictures are worth 1,000 words and they can answer 1,000 questions. Okay. You want to break down the services. I share with you all how I break down what's going on, what's happening. And I do have check-in points with my clients as well. And then double check with languages, because if they're from the north, they're coming down south, They might use a different term, a high taper, low taper, a shape up, a line up. And like my little man Lachlan say, my space line, his space line. So that's his lineup, y'all. For those of you who don't know, that's his lineup. So that's number 3. And number 4 is respecting cultural identity and personal preferences. Hair is culture, hair is identity. So you want to respect that. And now with clients who are gender non-conforming or transitioning, and I really don't want to use the term non-conforming, but whatever pronoun they choose to utilize, I respect that, and I think we should respect that as a whole. It's more important than we think. Okay, bottom line is respect. At the end of the day, is respect. And number 5, once again, here is, I'm shifting through these papers. Hold on, y'all. Document client's history for next visit. I already showed y'all how I check in with my clients. But those are the 5 points for the art of consulting. Hopefully it's been useful for those of you who are checking this out. Excellence starts, it doesn't start with the clippers, it starts with care, and care starts with communication, and communication starts with listening to your clients and not talking with them, not at them. That's all I have. So to all my fellow stylists and barbers out there, let's not treat the consultation like another checkbox. Yeah, let's not do that. It's the heartbeat of what we do. It really is. The consultation sets the stage. It clarify misunderstanding. It also provides reinforcement, encouragement. It makes the clients feel secure in some instances and safe in other instances, especially when it comes down to children. So I just want to say thank you all for tuning in to episode 12, Female Barber Talk with Yah-Tay. If this episode gave you something to think about, share it. If it provided you with some insight, share it. And I also invite those of you out there who are barbers and stylists, if you want to come on, inbox me and we'll make it happen. I appreciate you all. So don't forget, the art of a great consultation starts with communication and these other 5 points. Okay. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, Mr. T. Thank you, Lachey. Thank you, WK. Thank you, LaDosha. I appreciate those of you who've tuned in tonight. I appreciate the feedback. For those of you who are catching this on the replay, thank you for taking time out of your day to replay this broadcast. Stay tuned for the next episode. We are on every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like I said, I'll either bring a topic, we'll have a guest on, and sometimes a surprise guest, as well as it may be pre-recorded. So every Sunday, you'll get something from Yah-Tay the Barber Stylist. Thank you all for joining. And until next time, enjoy. Take care. Naturals.